Hey, welcome to Real Talk, episode 179. I'm Todd, this is AJ, and we're back.
The man, the myth, the legend is back.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to have you back,
Yeah, man. It's good to, hey, you know what? You did a great job last week, and I mean this.
I appreciate
what
it.
I was, let me finish. I was being very specific. Okay? You did a good job being the, whatever it's like, I don't want to say host, VJ, DJ, whatever. You did a good job in the intro. I didn't expect it. That seems insulting, but it isn't.
Oh, thank you.
You did a good job. It was very natural, because I think that's almost the first time, except for the very beginning, you've had to do that.
It's true, man. It's been a while it's been a while
Since I
man, that's my mind today. It's just everywhere. But I appreciate it, man. And you're right, because I remember back in the day, like in like our really early recordings, you used to hit me off guard because you'd be like, "Hey, welcome to Real Talk, AJ. Why don't you tell them Real Talk is?" And I was like,
You did it, man. Yeah, it was
So,
natural.
Thank you.
We'll talk more about that episode in a moment after I tell them what this is about.
Yes.
Hey, long-term viewers, long-term listeners, friends, accomplices, compatriots. Welcome to Real Talk. What is Real Talk? It's an opportunity to talk about life, God, the Bible, and everything in between. Somewhere in the description of this video and or podcast, you will see a link. www.theremnant.life/real-talk. The real in that clearly is REAL. So www.theremnant.life/real-talk. Click the link. Go all the way to the bottom. You'll see submit a question. Push that button. It'll give you a form fillable box. Tippity tap your answer or comment, link, anything you want. And it will go into our database completely anonymously. Couldn't find it if you tried. Now listen.
Boom.
Why would we do that? Well, maybe you have a question about God or the Bible or Christianity or faith, or you're in a situation you don't know how to handle, and you just want some, you want to be able to ask that question in a way that is safe and you won't feel silly, or maybe you just want some outside opinions, right?
Yeah.
Because some topics are a little taboo, right? Or you just don't have an opportunity to ask about them.
Yeah.
So listen, that's what this show's all about. And we want to give you sort of the viewpoint of a few young guys that are just living their life, doing their best to follow Jesus Christ.
Doing our best, man.
So that's it. That's the gist of it.
Just
We'll also talk about things, our life. What is that called? Big headlines of the day.
Real news, real views.
I have a new conspiracy for you guys.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
And
I think you've heard this one, but I heard a little more about it.
I
So anyway, that's
this
what Real
is great.
Talk is. Hey, do us a favor. If you're listening and you're already at least slightly intrigued, whether you're a longtime viewer, listener, or new. If you're listening on a podcast format, maybe it's Spotify. Oh, I don't think you do it on Spotify. But maybe Apple Podcasts or whatever. Can you give us a 5-star review? That would be so helpful. If you would go and take a second and just write us a review. It really would. Mean the world to us.
Thank you so
Right?
much.
If it's on Facebook, Rumble, YouTube, etc., you know what would help us out? If you like it, share it, suggest it.
What does etc. mean?
It's Latin. I think the gist of it is same old, continuing kind of.
Gotcha.
Like similar to.
I've always known what it stands for, but I've
No,
actually
it's
never truly ever known what etc. actually means. I just
It's
know
used at the end of a list to indicate that further similar items are included.
Perfect. I had the right idea, just didn't know fully what it was.
Anyway, there you go. It is more common than the full phrase in business and technical writing.
Nice. We're technical.
Yeah. So that's the link. AJ would like to discuss something that's hurt his heart so far.
Yes, it's true. So, as a lot of you have known, I've kind of plugged it a couple times here on the show. I have a fundraiser going on called AJ's 3 Months of Madness. You could guess it's going on for 3 months. It's in the name. But I need you guys to start donating. Why? Because it's going towards this ministry. It's going towards our media ministry for new cameras, new microphones, new everything. Why?
New
Because
hosts.
we want to, new hosts. We want to up our value for you guys. We want to up, how we look, how we sound. Just so we want to give you guys the best quality possible. No, you're fine. And, I got a link for you. It's www.theremnant.life/AJ's 3 Months of Madness. There's a donate now button on the page. What do you get when you donate? Once you guys reach a certain tier value of money donated, I'm going to start doing crazy stuff to my hair and beard. And the first goal we have is $500. And once you reach $500 given, I'll have to do frosted tips in my hair. And that's just the beginning of a very, very dark road. what I'll be doing to myself.
Where can they go see, the stages or more info or whatever?
That will be updated on our social media as well. It'll be on the
Is
page
it
as
on
well.
there yet? Oh, is there a place to direct them to?
Yes. There's a link, and we can share the link in this description as well.
Okay, cool. There you go.
Perfect.
Perfecto. Help the guy out, man. He, for some reason, is a glutton for punishment.
It's true.
He wants to look strong.
Punish me. Make me look weird.
There's something. Anyway, I forgot to say this.
That's one of those sound bites that if somebody just takes.
I know. Listen, we can't say that's the worst we've ever said.
We can make a punish me button. So just punish me.
Yeah, man, we could do that. I forgot to mention this, by the way, earlier. Fun turn. It's good to see you again, my friend.
See you as well.
Apologize for not addressing you at the beginning.
Oh, hey.
All right. Well, hey.
The ghost that comes out of the mist.
That was the sound of something coming out of the mist. All right. Catch up on our lives. You got anything going on, man?
So, I've realized something.
Yeah, what did you realize?
In my life, I have, and this is kind of an interesting thing, and I still haven't fully wrapped my head around it, but I know that it is sinful.
Not what I expected. Sorry. It's not funny. I just didn't expect it.
That's the way I said it.
Yeah.
You get it. I have neglected a lot of the, quote, facts of life by using the excuse of, quote, being on a journey and improving my, quote, character.
Okay. Want to unpack that a little bit?
Yes. So, I feel like a lot of the time I can use the excuse of like, hey, you know what? Maybe I'm not very good with money, right? I'm not very good with money because I'm on this journey trying to work on, being closer to Jesus. Like that would be like does that make sense?
Sure.
And I feel like I've done that for a very long time now. And it's it's embarrassing, but two, it is super convicting because I've realized that even though maybe clearly character in life's important, and I think that that's something that maybe I've managed to develop since becoming a Christian. I've had these ideas instilled in me, and it's changed my life. But it's also I've ignored being an adult is kind of how I would put it, which is weird to say, but when it comes to responsibilities of hey, we need to start saving money. We need to start doing all these other things. I just haven't done a good job at that, man. And so it's just it's one of those things where it kind of hit me like a brick one day, where it was like, dude, you've neglected that this whole time because you've just been using the excuse of being on a journey. And I was like, dang it, dude. So that's been the latest realization in my life. And so just trying to make more of a effort to actually be conscious of what I'm doing. How am I doing? How am I spending money? Or how am I putting effort towards my work? All that stuff. Which is funny because I feel like that's always been a consistent thing in my life that's been pointed out, but for some reason it just never fully clicked, and I feel like the wheels are turning. So that's the latest in my life. But it's weird because even though I say that, I am encouraged. It's good to see that, and I do feel like I am I'm at a turning point, kind of turning the corner on this. It's gonna be a process, and I know that, but I also feel just even noticing it and then taking small steps has been huge.
What kind of steps do you take in that situation?
Trying to put small amounts of money back.
Gotcha.
Or even developing,
make it more of a focus.
Yes, and developing more habits of for example, I'll take giving as an example. Mm-hmm. I tend to give every other week, I do every 2 weeks, but I've been giving a little bit on even my off week just to make myself more conscious of where I'm at financially. It's helping me see,
Interesting. Yeah.
So and also it's just cool because it's just trusting God more with that, because I can become, I'm a weirdo, man, because I hate money. But I am also
necessary.
Yes, it's necessary, and I can get almost I can be generous with it, but I can also get kind of stingy once it starts to get low. It's weird. So I'm I have money. Here's everything for everybody. And then once it gets low, I'm I don't want to talk about this. So just a weird thing.
Show that a lot if it makes you feel better.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. But yeah, so that's just a small bit of life for me right now.
Yeah, it's good, man.
Yeah, so cool stuff.
Would
man.
you say it's been a while since you held your head up high?
I'd say it's been a while since I said I'm sorry.
Music, man. He loves music. No,
I do.
It's good. Yeah, I think, that's good, man.
It's my favorite country artist, too. Shout out Aaron Lewis.
I forgot he's saying that, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So is he still active in country?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Does he look like a rock guy or a country guy now?
It's like a combination. I think he kind of looks like both.
You think real country exists anymore in the sense of like...
I don't know.
Like, you know what I'm talking about?
Isn't like a Hank Williams
That
Jr.?
kind of thing. Yeah. What about him?
Like, didn't he make music still?
He's pretty... I don't know if he makes new music.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, kind of weird, actually. He used to be pretty big. When I was a little kid, my parents just jammed old Hank Williams Jr., old Bocephus. That's what his nickname was. I don't... Isn't that weird I remember that?
No, you got an uncanny. Not really. I've heard a little bit. I've heard a little bit, but not a whole lot.
Yeah.
Country is just one of those
feel like he
genres
was
I never dove into.
I feel like he was sort of the beginning of where it was becoming sort of a country rock.
That's pretty cool. Is that considered country then or not?
Oh, yeah, he's country.
Nice.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the genres I just don't know much about is country music.
Yeah.
I know PGB loves country music.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, he does. That's production guy, Blake. You guys met him last week. Speaking of, did a good job, too. Whenever I see him just turn that schmooze factor on, I'm just like, man, how does he do it?
It's another level.
How's he do it, man? Yeah. Cool.
Yeah,
Well,
man.
That's good, dude, for real.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. Over the break, I kind of had some epiphanies about that, too. I'm pretty good with money, by the grace of God. Maybe on the...
Yeah, man.
But I don't, I want to make a priority to, money isn't evil, and I think sometimes we can think that, and, it says the love of money is evil, and that just means the obsession about it. But
Absolutely.
Wanting to, first of all, take care of your business, but, when you have money, you can bless others.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. Anyway, good stuff.
How about you, man? How's life for you? I know it's been an interesting time, so.
Yeah, man. So, for those that don't know, at our church, I actually missed, I believe, 5 Sundays at our church, which is a big deal. Big, huge deal. Might have been 6. I think it was 5. But that's a lot, man. That's a lot. And it was cool. Had a lot of other people preach at our church, which was neat. And it was cool to listen to those. And, it was good stuff. I'm very thankful. You were one of them. Good job.
Thanks, man.
Luke and Blake also stepped up. So that was cool. So I took some time off, and I mentioned this on the show a few weeks ago. Now, even though I missed 5 Sundays, I really only missed 2.5 weeks of, quote, work, right?
Yeah.
But this is something I rarely do. I pull away from everything. Like I was essentially gone, right? I mean, other than you guys who I kept in touch with a little bit. I mean, I would see people because we had softball, and I didn't want to, bail on our church softball team. That felt wrong. I considered it. There's the strangest smile that you're looking at me right now with. I can't, if anyone was, if you're on the podcast, I'm telling you right now, it looked like, I want you to consider, like a soulless person who's smiling at you. Yeah, that's it. Fun Turn's doing it. Or like a living doll, that's looking at you.
Bro, you know what's funny? This is one of the first times I felt conscious of it. I was like, that was a
Why'd
weird
you do
smile.
that?
I think I was trying to acknowledge, yeah, man, I'm really glad you didn't do that.
Except this is all you did. Anyway, I'm so sorry. You guys know I'm
No, that's
so anyway,
okay, man.
try to make it fast. So I was gone completely, and I think it was good for me. I have not taken a vacation, so we just had our 9-year anniversary for this church, which is really cool. It's
wild, dude.
And anyone doesn't know about the church that sponsors this podcast is we are non-denominational. I always tell people the way we did it made no sense, but in a cool way, God moved because we didn't have any money to help us. We didn't have any of that. It just grew organically. And beyond some times that I had to step away at the very beginning, like discipline stuff and all that, I have never taken a vacation. I have never taken a break beyond maybe a random Sunday, if we had a guest preacher. But I'd still be there most of the time. And so it was really weird for me, man. The first couple of weeks, first couple of days, it was really odd. Now, why did I do that? And this kind of leads to something I want to say in the show. And I don't want to ramble too much, but I want to catch people up on where I've been. I was very, very, very burnt out. Okay, so what does burnt out mean? Well, it's long, prolonged periods of stress and stuff. and without resting, and it ends up leading you to not have anything left. And honestly, man, it was sinful because I never rested. I just didn't rest. And I thought that like running around and working all that, I was running from stuff. I was running from my own thoughts. I was running from, I don't know. There's that part of me that just wants to keep grinding. And I haven't fully figured that out. But I want to say that to the audience. I went back and watched a few of our episodes from the last few months. Man, I was really embarrassed just at my attitude and my clear grumpiness. And I've apologized to you guys off camera, but I was just in a rough place, man. And I don't want to be negative, but I was. And I think that's what happens when you're I'm not making excuses, but it is a fact. I was tired and burnt out and grumpy. And so I recognized that. And that's really what led to it. We had a staff meeting, and I just realized, like the day before, I was like, dude, I am just mean and grumpy and like off, And what did that look like? It's just like being impatient and sort of seeing the negative in everything. So I took time off to try to figure that out. And it's funny how God works. And a lot of lessons. I don't know if I should talk about them all, but I had a lot of lessons I learned. One, I hope I'm coming across now as more rejuvenated, more refreshed, less grumpy. So I apologize to the audience, too. You guys, thanks for bearing with us, and sorry for my grumpiness. And I was really hurt. And I think that's something that I acknowledged to myself over these few weeks, is just how hurt I was by a lot of people, by people outside of our church even, and just the constant attacks. And if you've been a long-time viewer, you know that, man. We get attacked mostly by self-proclaimed Christians because we either talk about something they don't like, say something they don't like, even though it's truth. And I think I'd gotten so used to that over the years that I just sort of like, I'm a leader, I'll just eat it and move on. Well, a lot of that caused a lot of hurt, which then unresolved hurt, unresolved anger and all that stuff turns to bitterness, and then you're in a bad spot. So that's sort of where I was, man. And so acknowledging some of that hurt, sharing some of that hurt with people that have hurt me, instead of just being like nothing hurts me kind of deal.
Yeah.
Just made a big difference. So that's that. Gave me a chance to think clearly, see things clearly. I'm not trying to preach like, oh, I'm perfectly healed and everything's great, but I certainly feel more myself. And if you've only been a viewer the last probably even, man, who knows, 6 months, maybe even long, like this, hopefully you'll see who I really am versus who you would probably only see glimpses of. So yeah, a lot of stuff in there. And so how have I been? I mean, it's good, man. It's kind of anxiety causing to come back to all the stuff that I have. I'm making a lot of changes. This is really my first real day back.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not going to lie. There were times over this little break that I had to do some work. I had to deal with stuff. But this is my first time back fully. So, yeah. I'm a very driven, passionate guy by nature. You guys know that. And that's something else that wasn't showing very much anymore. I'd sort of just laid down, literally and figuratively, and just was like, hey, whatever, man. I'll just hold on, and just in a bad spot. So God is really good. And still some work I got to do spiritually in my heart and figure stuff out now that I've kind of got the cobwebs out of the way. Excited about some changes we're going to make, both at the church that we're a part of, and the show, and in my personal life. And so, yeah, really just embarrassed, man. Really embarrassed about how I was. And I'm very thankful that the Holy Spirit sort of pointed that out to me, how even if it took that long, he was telling me that a long time. I had told you guys forever that I need to take a break, and I just didn't do it.
Yeah.
Or I would start to, and then come right back.
Yeah, you start and stop,
Yeah.
start
and
and
I think
stop.
that's why I had to completely leave, because I
Yeah.
would have not done that.
It probably would have never came. Yeah.
So I don't want to take too much time and ramble, but yeah, that's where I'm at, man. And as a Christian, God tells us to rest, and I'm just not real good at it. And part of it is because I didn't know what rest looks like for me. And there were days it didn't feel like I was getting rest, if I'm honest. Even I still had responsibilities. It was a staycation. I was just sitting around. I still had things I had to do, but I think without the responsibilities of day-to-day stuff, it takes several days before you can even sort of decompress from all of that. And then all of a sudden, that's when you start realizing your thought life. For me, I was like, man, now that that's gone, like, dude, how I'm thinking and feeling is kind of messed up right now, And now I'm starting to see more clearly. It's like, gosh darn it. That's what I mean by watching some of the episodes, particularly if I watched some old ones before that happened.
Yeah.
And then I watched from the last year, and it was just like, dang, man, it was so different.
Just a big change.
Yeah, man, I was just way negative, and I know that showed itself, and so I'm just really sorry, guys, and to all those watching. I was really hurt, and it's not an excuse, but luckily, God is good. His mercies are new every day. And on that journey, man, I'm excited. Excited for stuff to come. Excited for changes we're going to make. Excited to keep making steps for the kingdom. So, yeah, that's where I'm at.
I think it's powerful, dude, that even you just saying, because, like, even just acknowledging those hurts and everything you had changed so much, it seems like. Like, just even having the time to actually acknowledge them and, like, oh, like, this is a real thing. Because, and you had time to actually, like, think about it and, like, process through it, man. It's crazy how much it's changed you.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. If you like, and I want that. Let me know if you guys notice. I'm talking to you too, but it could be you guys too, because it's you don't see it in yourself so much.
No.
I can feel it in the sense of like I'm not dreading. Like I was excited to come in today versus like, oh, here we go, I got to do this, and then
Yeah, man.
and I did get some rest. So yeah, it's hard for me to acknowledge hurt. I don't want to sound all mopey. There's just a lot of stuff that leads. I tend to be like, I'll keep moving, keep grinding, keep walking. I'm not going to let stuff beat me. And you get in a dangerous place, man. And once bitterness enters the picture, it just pollutes everything. Pollutes your attitude, your heart, even your service, because you start to do things because you're supposed to and not because you want to.
It just flips your attitude entirely, dude.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Ironic because I've preached on bitterness, and it's funny, like years ago, I think even, was it last year, that weeds.
Weeds is it's a
and
great
it's
sermon.
funny, man, thinking about it. If I was preaching to myself, and I just didn't listen, I guess. So, God is good, man. I have a lot of interesting thoughts about Christianity as a whole. Some stuff I'm studying about the words of Jesus, about what he actually said versus what we tend to just accept as he said, which I haven't even talked to you about.
No.
I just kind of hinted at it. So I'm doing some and about to get really deep into some deep study here, man, about throughout the New Testament, particularly. It's going to be interesting to see what comes of it. And I'm actually a little nervous because I wonder if it's going to change. I'm going to be forced to change some of the things I believe.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. That's exciting, man.
About who we are in him. And, I don't know. So much of our faith is based around shame, right? And
oh, man.
Attacking. And there's those two extremes. On the one hand, it's like, you can't ever tell someone truth, and the other, we've talked about this many times. On the other hand, it's like, I'm going to beat you to death with, truth.
Yeah.
And the lines, what is Jesus? What's the Bible really say about who we are, and how free would we be if we could live in that? And I want to find out. And I know I've read the Bible, but I'm looking. It's funny when you look at specific things, specific words, and mark every single time this topic is mentioned. Put it all on a page and see what it's really saying. What's the picture it gives? So. It'll be interesting, man.
Man, dude, that's exciting. Because, especially, if you're studying something that's pushing you, I already know it's going to be huge.
Maybe. We'll see, man. Or scary.
Or scary.
Or both. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing, dude.
Yeah, sorry it was a ramble, but...
No, man, it wasn't a ramble at all, dude. I think it was just a really good... I thought you put it very well. And it's just nice to have you back, and it's good to hear, like, where you're at. And, like, I don't know, man. I can take stuff from any time you talk, so I just appreciate you saying stuff.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you saying that. You always think, too, that is one thing. When you're away from stuff, you're like, what if I don't know how to do stuff anymore? What if I'm, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, appreciate the encouragement.
Absolutely, dude.
Do you have something fun, Turn? Excuse me. Oh, well, hey, that leads to something before we move on, because I hinted at it and gave it to you before we get serious here.
Okay.
My latest conspiracy.
Oh, yes.
Right, my latest what if. Now, keep in mind, I'm just sharing this with you. I'm not saying I believe it. Because I'm a Christian, I believe in what the Bible tells me. However, it's very interesting and creepy.
Okay.
It's very creepy. Now, you've heard this. You guys remember the 2012 Mayan calendar thing?
Yes.
That's a big deal for a while, where they said the world was going to end in 2012.
I immediately posted on Facebook that I survived the apocalypse.
Okay. Very strange. But, yes. But here's the question, AJ. Did you?
Oh, man. Oh, no.
Did you? Interesting story. Now, we've hinted on this, but that's the great question, AJ. Did you survive?
I think
because a couple facts to fill you up on. I'm getting goosebumps of creepiness here. One, you guys know, and I don't know I have no idea how they test this.
Okay.
I don't, other than electrical. But supposedly, when you die, it takes your brain about 7 minutes to die. Okay? In those 7 minutes, your brain goes through all of your memories, essentially living out your entire life in those 7 minutes in a dreamlike state. Okay?
Okay.
Now, those 7 minutes to you, right, if time is what we think, if you think of dreams, could feel like 100 years or 60 years or 70 years, whatever. Keep that in mind.
Okay.
You guys remember Stephen Hawking's, right? The guy who couldn't, a very ingenious guy, couldn't talk, use a little robot?
Yes. Yes.
So he said that if and when we discovered the so-called, quote, God particle, fun turn, look up the actual definition of God particle. This is important to know. Okay?
no.
But I'm going to make the comment, and then he'll tell us.
Okay.
The irony. By the way, we as Christians don't call it that. They called it the God particle. He said if the God particle is discovered, life could end within a day. Guess what year the God particle was discovered?
Was it 2012?
It was 2012. So,
Okay.
what has happened since 2012 in our world?
Utter chaos.
Craziness, right? That's what people say.
Oh, yeah.
So the thought is, and I haven't pieced, all people keep adding to this, but is that everyone died in 2012, and we are just living in the 7 minutes,
Oh, my gosh.
which is why everything's crazy and why time has seemed so weird, which you bring up all the time.
Oh, absolutely. Time is just unbelievable.
God particle, fun turn, got it.
What
What is
the
it?
ga-
What is there?
the-
What is the definition of it?
All right. So, first part of this is I did it. It was discovered July 4th, 2012.
Told you.
So there's
4th of
that.
July. Happy birthday, America. We're all dead.
Okay. Well,
Exactly. So the God particle is the Higgs boson. 1 second.
you're good. Keep looking. I'm Googling as well.
Yeah.
But we don't call it that, right? But
Oh, the Higgs boson is a subatomic particle that brought the Nobel Prize. Took 40 years, essentially.
40 years.
40 years
40.
to get.
Okay.
The Higgs boson is also often called the God particle because it is said to what caused the Big Bang and created the universe many years ago.
There you go.
Wow.
So they claim that it is what created the universe, right?
They found
like-
the particle that created the universe.
That's what they claim. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Now, again, for
Okay.
me, that doesn't affect my faith whether this, what this particle is, because God
Right.
just created everything. But, and again, I'm saying we have our own belief system, but I think it's a pretty creepy, little thing.
Yeah. Wow. And so we're all
It
just...
has no spin. It's anti-particle. Has zero electric and color charge. So I don't know what that means.
How do you even discover something like this?
Listen, man, I'm not even smart enough to be able to talk about it.
Even
probably.
comprehend?
Running
I,
things through a particle accelerator.
It was discovered
really
with
fast.
the Hadron Collider.
Yeah.
which is CERN.
Correct.
Or Kern, however you want to... Yep.
Which
It's the fundamental force-carrying particle, the Higgs field, which is responsible for granting other particles their mass. Anyway, creepy stuff. Anyway, just want to share my random conspiracy I ran into. Actually, that happened just this morning. I've heard part of that before.
What year did that turn on? The CERN machine?
I would
What-
imagine.
What was the first year it
I know
turned
the
on?
CERN turned on again, just recently.
I
Which
know
is
that.
what they said created the Mandela effect.
But what?
That's what they're saying, too.
What?
That the Mandela effect is because of our minds. And I think they're probably imagining maybe like a collective consciousness weird thing, where all our dreams are in this scenario. Now, again, we're Christians. I don't believe that. But I do
Yeah.
think it's very interesting how people will come up with to justify things.
Oh,
to
yeah.
Justify what's happening. You know what I mean? Versus the Bible gives us very clearly why things are getting crazy. Right?
It was turned on September 10th, 2008.
Interesting.
And
Okay.
just recently was turned back on.
Why'd they turn it back on recently? Do we
No
know?
idea.
I actually don't know.
We've probably lost a lot of people, but very
Hey.
strange. I had another topic to talk. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was going to say something ridiculous.
I thought about Funton's going to look up over this thing as soon as I mention this name. He's going to look at me with a eye of like Todd.
Oh, boy.
Andrew Tate.
Hey.
Andrew Tate. If you guys want to
man of
know,
talks.
if you want to know who Andrew Tate is, or if you know who Andrew Tate is, who took over the internet for a short amount of time,
Oh, yeah, man.
drop us a comment or either in the video if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, or in using the link, and we'll talk about that in depth. But I will tell you this: it is a guy. I'll give you a little hint. This guy was canceled, and it doesn't matter what he's canceled for. And when I say canceled, he has also told us what canceled meant to him. He lost every social media page he had, lost his email, lost the domain for his website. You're not even ready. And lost his bank accounts.
Bank accounts, bro. How is that possible?
Exactly. Now, luckily, he's got, he's a very wealthy guy. He's got money men that finds him. But I'm telling you right now, he says that's what happens when you really get canceled. And who's doing that? You know what I mean? It's weird stuff.
I have a guess.
So, 1 second, going back. So why was CERN turned back
Yeah.
on? Because it was going through remodels and improvements it turned off in 2018 in December, so it was going through improvements and updates to the facility. And after a 3-year planned hiatus, it's ready to turn back on for Run 3.
What are they trying to do with Run 3?
Yeah, what's Run 3 supposed to be trying to discover?
Run 3 is, give me just a slight second. I suppose.
Oh, that is.
So Run 2 is when they discovered the God particle.
Yes.
What is next, man, dude? What else could you find? I've heard that thing has the power to, if they were to screw up, could cause a black hole
I've heard that too.
and literally just rip. I mean, it would swallow Earth.
Have you heard the guy? I think we talked about this last year. The year we talked, the guy who did almost like a TED talk on it. Who works for, like he's like the director of it. What do you got?
Oh no! Oh no!
I can tell.
Uh huh.
I'm not a physicist, so
Sure.
physicists out there, you'll be able to destroy me. In the
Yeah, physicists that listen to our show.
But so it's also going to be a full-scale demonstration of essentially the Large Hadron Collider. They're going to manipulate with the beams more. They're going to manipulate the actual particles and everything more. So essentially, they're going to. So 3 is to aim the so-called LHC configuration, namely the optics needed to adapt in order to cope and migrate constraints of different natures of beam brightness and limitations due to the machine's impedance and specific durations, some fancy word, of some LHC experiments. The reviewing of these constraints include intensity limitations coming from the existing hardware, the beam parameters targeted in the LHC in Run 3 are given. The possible solution. So essentially, they're just pushing it to the max, and they're going to be messing with the beams of light and everything that they are messing with in here. This also could lead to them actually trying to creating another Higgs boson and trying to manipulate it.
Yeah, man. When the guy talked, and this is funny you said that. He literally, and I'll try to find the video. And I'll talk more about it next week maybe. But I remember him saying the idea of like fully believing alternate realities, or even like the idea of teleportation, transporting something to somewhere instantaneously.
This would be the beginning of that.
This is real, like this is actual scientists saying this stuff. Now, there were scientists who said he was just saying, like, these are all theoretical. Like
right.
But he was kind of stating them as facts, But anyway, again, we are not physicists. We don't know enough about this, but crazy stuff, man.
Dude. Also, as for Andrew Tate, getting back on subject because I distracted, his full name is Murray Andrew Tate III.
Oh, Murray, nice. Good name.
Born December 14th, 1986, is an American-British internet personality and former professional kickboxer. Following his kickboxing career, Tate began offering paid courses and memberships through his website to later rose to fame following a move to influencer marketing.
And then, we'll talk about, to give you a little hint, it would take probably a show, because I think it's interesting to talk about the, how do I put this? To talk about sort of what this is saying about culture, man. This idea of cancel culture, as you guys know, we were attempted to be canceled.
Oh yeah.
A couple months ago on a minor scale, and it's a very strange thing.
It really is, man. It is very strange.
What it appears to be is a small group of people, right, in any situation, are so loud that they have been given the power to, like, and I've said this before, isn't canceling just a cleaner version of killing someone in a way? Right? Like, you're trying to wipe them from existence.
It's an attempt.
It's
absolutely.
very weird.
Yeah.
Right? Because at times people can't get jobs. Now, this guy's already filthy rich.
That's a good way to put it.
You know what I mean? It's just an odd thing, man. It's almost saying if I could kill you and no one would I would do it. That's how I view it.
Just a clean, yeah. Just
Because you
destroy
said something
somebody.
that I didn't like. Okay, I want you to hear that. Because I said or did something this person didn't like.
Cancel culture really shows the heart of society, man.
Oh, it's unbelievable, man.
Like the true heart of society. It's
Yeah,
odd.
it's crazy that it's infected the church too. Of course, we've seen that a lot of these people who claim to be Christians that do the canceling, right? We're not talking about disagreements and debates. That's
Sure,
healthy.
that's different, man.
That's healthy. But when you try to cancel someone, destroy someone based off of sound bites and like rumors and stuff, man, it really ends up showing the heart. Like even the people that kind of did that to us, when I don't follow them, but you got the comments they make really shows their views on God, and it's not, it's not biblical.
No.
So it's just funny,
No.
man.
No.
People can claim the name and say whatever they want.
Yep.
There's all these movements against bullying and things of that nature, and there's all these movements out there against, don't torture people, don't do all that in prisons and things. But that's essentially what you're doing.
Yeah, isn't canceling bullying? I mean, really, it is.
It is. It's
100%
cyberbullying.
bullying.
It's cyberbullying at its max, and you're asking for something terrible to happen with that person. You're asking for them to become unhinged. When you take somebody's whole life and you destroy them and you put them as a
unreal.
person where they can't walk to the grocery store without getting attacked, screamed at, cussed at, that's not acceptable. It does not matter what they did.
Yeah,
it doesn't
dude.
matter. You're asking for something bad to happen. And you would be the cause of it. I hate to say that. It's in every situation. If you have somebody that has been bullied their whole life and they do something terrible to people, the bully is just as much as the cause as the person who did the terrible acts. That has always been my belief. You can't
agree.
solve you can't just because this person who is a victim who
Two wrongs don't make it right, man.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You can't do that. So you're asking for something. You're going to cancel the wrong person, and something
They're
terrible
going
is
to kill
going
themselves
to
or
happen.
something. I mean, that's what's going to happen eventually, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Well, think about it in real life. Like when you think about it, what they're doing, and if you put it in real life situations, it's absolutely ridiculous. Imagine at the grocery store. So you see someone steal or do something you don't like, and you walk up to them and say, "You are now canceled, and you cannot shop, and you cannot speak." Like that's essentially, get out of here. We don't want anything to do with you in society. Like what, dude?
This just reminded me of an episode of Black Mirror.
Oh, really?
Kind of. Did you ever see the one where it's like your entire status is based on your reviews from people?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that.
Yeah, I think
'Cause
that's probably
about
the point they're making.
Yes, because you can get canceled. Exactly. Imagine getting canceled, but it's in the idea of like a review. You might have an average of 4-star review, and all of a sudden you have hundreds of people giving you 1 stars, and they bring that down, dude.
So was it on a 5-star scale in the thing?
It was.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
It's creepy.
That's what that reminded
man.
me of.
It's creepy. But you know what's cool? I don't know if you've known Fun Turn, you're on social media a lot, I think, and you are too. But have you guys seen, I mean, there's a movement, and it's just started happening the last I've noticed it really in the last 3 or 4 months. There's a pushback against cancel culture finally, where a
pretty cool,
bunch
man.
of people are like, dude, this is stupid. Like and actual influencers are beginning to say it. Now you have some chickens like LP, the big, I'll say it, I think some people are so scared of being canceled they won't say real things anymore.
It's true, man.
But there's a pushback, and I think that's awesome because society has to have the freedom to give thoughts and have debate, and may the greatest idea or thought win, right? Because that's what life is. That's how we grow as humans. Is sometimes, even if we don't agree with something, is it forces us to defend and think about what we actually believe. And when you remove that, you're weakening the intellectual culture, the intellectual level of society, because you have a bunch of people who have never been taught how to deal with opposition, right? If somebody hurts my feelings, right, I want to erase them, which creates, in real life. So let's say you have a situation happen. I don't know, maybe you lose a job or a relationship or, Lord forbid, something like that.
Crumble.
You crumble, exactly, because you're like, well, this isn't supposed to happen. And then that's not life, man. That is not life. And so you've created this little subculture in which you try to remove any sort of obstacles or opposition in your life, which, we've talked about this recently, is endurance is learning to carry weight, right? And the only way you can carry, quote, weight is by having it on you.
It's good.
And it's crazy, man. There's so many more important things in the world to be dealing with than that. And I just think it shows the state of our world. And I'm just so tired of it. I'm so disgusted by it in Christian culture. Came up again recently with whole Matt Chandler situation. Matt Chandler's a big time pastor. I'm not going to go too much into it because I think it's so stupid.
Yeah, man.
And essentially, this lady came up to him, and he had DM'd someone on Instagram, a female friend. By the way, the husband knew, his wife knew. Comes in. Long story short, he's now being put on leave. The comments were not romantic, not sexual. He had made one joke about alcohol, and they said that it wasn't becoming of an elder, and I don't mind. Listen, we don't know the details. If the church feels like he needs to take some time away, that's fine. I don't know that. What I think's crazy is how everybody began to throw out rumors. Christians try to destroy this guy. Did you guys know there's supposedly quote Christian websites that literally their entire job, and I'm not giving their names because I'm not giving them any publicity,
platform,
but they literally all they exist to do is to post the failings of ministry leaders, and even rumored ones to try to destroy them and cancel them. I'm serious.
It's very upsetting.
And they think they're doing a holy job. It's insane to me.
This kind of reminds me of a guy that I kind of enjoy. I'm kind of like 50-50 with him. It's that one guy I've showed you before on YouTube, the guy who points out all the things.
Yeah, that guy.
He's interesting though because I think he might be a little different, but he calls it a discernment ministry.
Well, the thing about him that's cool is from what I've seen, is he typically just says hey, be on watch. We hope this guy repents if that's what it is. He doesn't seem to condemn.
That's true.
There's hope in it of he might say this guy's a false. He'll say things like he seems to be a false teacher, all that kind of stuff.
That's true.
But he's let's hope, and he even said let's pray that so and so repents and all that stuff. That's different than let's get rid of this guy, destroy him.
That's good.
You know what I mean? And
good difference.
I don't think there's anything. So anyway, I think it's all indicative though of the overall culture, right? It's just infected the church too, and that's why pastors are afraid to say things sometimes.
Absolutely.
Sorry, what were you gonna say?
Here's the thing. This has been my thing, and this is probably because it's God refusing to allow me to forget it, so I can actually write it down on a piece of paper. It all goes back to this idea that I've been thinking about a lot lately. When you accept truth, you get freedom. And there's a lot of people in this world. There's a lot of Christians. There's a lot of people in general. But if we're just going to talk about Christians, they don't accept the truth of Jesus. Because when you accept the truth of Jesus, you can realize things in the fact of yes, you are a king, you are a queen. However, you are no better than anybody else because of the sins you've committed already. You are no better than anybody else. You are a wicked human being without Jesus Christ. So accept that. And when you accept that, you aren't going to judge people. You aren't going to do those things. And that's what he means by take the plank out of your eye. Because it means look at yourself to go, oh, I am not better than any of these people. I am a wicked human being.
Man.
However, through you, Christ, I can be better. And then you don't judge. You don't condemn. You don't do those things. And that doesn't mean don't go to people with truth. But at the end of the day, you just hide your judging and your attacking behind this pretense of truth. And it's not truth.
It's real, man. Yeah, sorry, I picked my phone. I thought a video was gonna play, and I didn't want it to play in front of the. I got video, and then I get it. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh no, you're good. I also think in cancel culture in general, going back to that a little bit, it's just it's mental toughness at the end of the day. I've seen this. David Givens, I think it is. He talks about this.
Goggins.
Goggins.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Old Goggins.
He talks about this. There is no mental toughness today, or it's very seldom. If you have just a little bit, you don't even have to have true mental toughness. Because his whole thing is, I don't know if mental toughness exists anymore. But he's if you're in young people today, not in general, but in young people today, he's I don't think it necessarily exists anymore in you young people. But if you have just a little bit of it, you will be successful. Because if you have a little bit of mental toughness,
has any.
Exactly. But if you had true mental toughness, you would be extremely successful at the end of the day. You would be. Because at the end of the day, nobody has it. Nobody wants to put in the work. Nobody wants to just go, yeah, this sucks right now, but I'm going to go do this. And because of cancel culture, you won't live in this stuff and actually fight for something that you believe in. You'll just cancel the guy, and that's not actually doing it. You don't have the mental toughness. You don't have the intelligence to argue with that person, so you go, I'll just ruin their life. That's stupid.
Yeah. Well, and we shouldn't want to ruin anyone's life.
No, man.
The Bible, we want people to be saved, man. And we should always remember, there's evil in the world, right? But if it's not a crime, the idea of throwing someone away and symbolically locking them up forever is just evil to me.
Well,
It takes away any opportunity for change, and for redemption.
Oh, for sure, man.
Anyway, and listen, I've said this many times. There's plenty of people I disagree with and think say stupid things and evil things and have platforms to do it, but I would defend their right to say it.
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean? So
I at the end of the day, we should all be looking to have a discussion. And whether you get to an agreement at the end of the day with that discussion, you should be able to walk into a discussion or even into an argument respectfully and be able to go, yes, I want to change your opinion, but if I can't change your opinion, we can walk away like two grown adults. We can walk away like two human beings, and we don't have to kill each other over this because that isn't what we should do.
yeah, it's not going to fix anything.
Exactly. The ability to have a discussion has been lost in this world.
Oh, absolutely.
Not by everybody, but by the majority. Or, well, the minority that's speaking very loud.
Yeah, I agree. Anyway, that's life. We gave it to you. Real talk. Sound effect.
I'll do that. I'll do something.
What?
I'll put an effect in there.
I just gave you one. That was the sound effect.
All right. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take that. I'm going to put it just randomly throughout this entire episode.
It's so ridiculous. All right, let's get to the good stuff. They're tired of hearing all this. You guys said you wanted me back, the real me. Well, no one said that, but this is who I am.
Stop.
So, I'm always scared this is going to fall right off, man.
I know.
Yes,
I
the
ripped-
need for.
New stuff,
All right.
yes. Literally ripped mine off right before we went on.
Got a lot of
Accident.
questions today. Yeah, sorry to cut you off.
Oh, you're fine.
But
dude.
meanie. Anyway, you ready to start a new series of questions? Thank you to those who took part in this ministry, because when you do that, when you ask the questions, you are joining us at the proverbial table.
That's right.
We're having a real talk, because you're answering questions for people who haven't even thought of the question yet.
Boom.
Are you ready, AJ?
I am ready.
Question number 1. Genesis 2:10-12 from the CEV. Quote, from Eden, a river flowed out to water the garden. Then it divided into 4 rivers. The first one is the Pishon River that flows through the land of Havilah, where pure gold, rare perfumes, and precious stones are found. Since God created everything, does that mean when he created land, he would have created the gold, perfumes, and stones at the same time in those first 7 days? Or what do you think, or do you think it was after that?
It's an interesting question. I would imagine in the midst of the creation, he would have put it there. That's kind of what my guess is.
Yeah, perfumes in this case, they're not talking about bottled things. They're talking about the good smells. Like perfume, the idea of a perfume came from stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Lavender and all those
Absolutely,
things. So
which
it's
is natural.
And it's describing, in this case in Genesis, it's describing just a beautiful area and a bountiful area.
Yes.
To make a point. Yeah,
That's good. So it's probably less literal in that sense.
Yeah.
More of it's describing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, good stuff, man. Well done.
Thank you. For you, TB.
Yeah.
It says, well, maybe if I can turn my page correctly here.
I get it, dude.
Hey, everybody. It says, making fun of a person with big consequences. Consequences.
I like
Holy cow.
consequences.
Elisha left Jericho and went up to Bethel. As he was walking along the road, a group of boys from the town began mocking and making fun of him. Go away, Baldy, they chanted. Go away, Baldy. Elisha turned around and looked at them, and he cursed them in the name of the Lord. Then 2 bears came out of the woods and mauled 42 of them. That's 2 Kings 2:23 and 24. That was from the NLT. And the question is, should we curse someone who makes fun of us?
So ironically, this is actually used as a verse to point out that the Bible is not real to some atheists and some people. Because it's God who kills children or whatever. You got to remember, this is a very specific situation. What was Elisha? What was it? He's a prophet. So they weren't just. He was being mocked not just for being bald, right? But his authority and who he was in God. So in essence, they're also mocking God, right? And that was a cultural problem. And so it was another way, unfortunately, in this sense that God had to prove he was God, and that you're not gonna if I say something has authority or I say someone is, it's gonna be listened to.
That's right.
Think about Moses.
Mm-hmm.
The story of Moses when he said, "What happened to the firstborn, man?" And it was because you had to make a point. So, should we curse someone who makes fun of us? Should we? No. I don't think we should. I think it's a warning to not mock the things of God.
Absolutely.
And the people of God. But I don't think that we should, want harm to come from people, because, Jesus gives us gives us a direction in those cases to pray for those who persecute us. Right? And
Absolutely.
And so that's what we're to do. In this case, it wasn't about the person. And you got to remember too, situationally, God had a specific point for Elisha to be the prophet in that moment, that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
100%, man.
So, yeah, it is a wild story, though.
It is.
Really
You know
is.
what's funny? I'm not very familiar with kings at all. So reading that, I didn't know that was a thing.
You never heard that one before?
Never heard
Oh, it's
that.
wild, man.
So
We
that
did
was
the,
interesting to read.
Yeah. A lot of the story of Kings, man. Israel it's a good warning for us. Follow God, reject God. Follow God, reject God. Bad things happen.
It's crazy because I know I mentioned the Bible Project thing that's on YouTube, and how I think I've went over First and Second Kings and their little how they have that short what's the word I'm looking for?
Videos.
It's they summarize it. It's it's like a
summary.
short summarization of the book, and they did not bring that part up in Second Kings, so I never knew about that.
Yeah, it's a pretty wild story for sure.
Oh yeah.
All right. I guess I'm up, right?
Yes.
Do you think the parts of the ocean that we haven't discovered yet is just of the land that was covered from the flood? It says in Genesis 7:19-20, finally the mighty flood was so deep that even the highest mountain peaks were about 7 meters below the surface of the water.
I think that makes sense. I think that I'd say that verse is pretty straightforward. So yeah, I would say that there's definitely a possibility of that being a thing.
Yeah, I think certainly there's parts of it that's the case. But we got to remember a couple things. The water did recede, right? So, I mean, we had land again. Now, does that mean that other parts weren't still submerged? No. But God had created water and earth and separated them, right?
Yes.
At the beginning. So land exists. So the ocean existed and had land under it, right? That's what supports it. Right? Well, as far as we know.
Yes.
we don't. That's crazy. We know more about space than we do the ocean, man. Isn't that crazy?
It is wild.
But yes, so yes, I
why.
think there's parts of places that have been submerged, but we also got to remember that the water did go down eventually. So,
Yes.
So yes, I would say partially yes, but remember that there was oceans before the flood.
That's really good, man, because it also makes me think of how we can see things from biblical times now. Like we can go visit places.
Yeah.
That makes 100% sense.
I think it's crazy that every civilization and every culture has a flood story. So that happened. That was factual.
Wild, man.
Isn't that interesting? Anyway,
That is wild.
moving on. Good
right.
questions this week.
Absolutely, man. I love it. People were coming at us with a lot of biblical stuff. Next question. Next question. Matthew 1:19 says, Joseph decided to quietly call off the wedding. And that's in CEV. It says, what do you think that would look like back then? Is it the same as now?
Well, I don't know what the same as now would be, but I will tell you this is what it would have been. So Joseph could have made a big deal and said, look at what she did. Look how she cheated on me. This is a woman of low care. This is an adulteress. He would have had the right to do that. Let's stone her, et cetera, et cetera. So what Joseph was going to do was avoid all of that and just kind of walk away. And not make a big deal about it and not have her, killed, or that he could, or it could have led to that and destroy her, right? It would have just been between them and walk away and leave it. So, depends on how people today do it. I've seen people call it off and trash the person. I've seen people do it and just walk away.
Keep it cordial.
Joseph's an amazing guy, and we don't see him a lot in the Bible, but an amazing man.
Absolutely, man.
Without Joseph, it wouldn't have went well. He took that family away to keep them safe. Because they were going to kill. They were scared of Jesus, the Roman authorities. So, really a boy being born. So it's pretty interesting stuff, man.
It's really
the
good.
faith he had, because he changed his mind when God told him, "No, you're going to marry this girl."
Dude,
So her story is true.
he was the one that had his mouth, right? He couldn't speak.
I don't know. That was the father of John the Baptist, I believe.
Okay.
Pretty sure. Now you even want to look it up. Yeah,
I couldn't remember.
I'm pretty sure, man.
I feel like I was going to say I knew.
John the Baptist.
Felt like there was a Joseph somewhere
Well, there is a
that couldn't speak.
So yeah, there's definitely Joseph, man. Why isn't he the king? Baptism,
Yeah, because I thought it was like Maybe it was somebody else, and they wanted to name.
It would have been it's the father of John the Baptist. I'm not if it's not. I may be wrong, but I'll let you know in a second.
All right.
You
Hey,
gotta buy some time.
while he's doing that, I'm going to buy some time. If you're looking for, no.
Yeah.
So actually, going back for a second.
Okay.
I was thinking about what was it? I gotta look real quick, but it was from the flood. It was from the flood.
Yeah. It's John the Baptist.
It was John the Baptist.
Zechariah. Let's see.
I mean, how did I get Joseph?
Because it's in the same area where they end up. Those stories kind of parallel. It's pretty interesting.
Gotcha. Okay. At least I'm not crazy.
Because you not believe my words was be filled in the proper time. You have Zechariah, the father of John.
Got you. Okay. Nice. I kind of know Bible.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I cut you off.
Oh, no, you're fine. I was just thinking about this whole flood thing. How wild it was, like, that literally, like, he flooded the entire world.
Yeah, man.
Sometimes, like, it's funny, you brought up, like, 2012 earlier. Like, have you guys ever seen the movie 2012?
Mm-mm.
Bro, what an insane movie. And that's just, like, to me, I think about, like, the destruction that they try to portray in that movie, like, the world ending. And then I think about, like, that actually kind of happened with the flood of what God did. I was like, that's terrifying.
Wow, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, people don't fear God. They should. Also shows how merciful He is. Are you ready for your question? This is right up your alley, man. Something you love. Number 3, do you guys think it matters what music you listen to as a Christian? I struggle with listening to rap music, and I feel a conviction about it. So much so, I've not listened to any other genre but gospel Christian. I've definitely seen a shift in my mindset. Do the guys have any recommendations of rap-like Christian music or metal?
Nice. So, do I think it matters what music you listen to? Absolutely. And I'm one of those people. If I just sit here and I listen to, say, my old music interest all the time, I'm going to be sad, depressed. I'm going to be in, like, a different mindset. Like you said, when you cut it out and you listen to just Christian music and you focus on that, I think that it does help with a more positive outlook. So, yes, I think here's the thing. I wouldn't say it necessarily matters for everybody, but if you're a Christian who never listens to Christian music, that's weird. I think that this is one of those kind of things where you have to go off your own convictions. If you notice that listening to secular music puts you in a weird mindset, you should for sure look into that and try to cut some of it out. So yeah, I would say that it's definitely more based on your own convictions than just like a straight black and white line of like, no, you got to do that. As far as recommendations for like metal, Christian metal, I have, let's see. Actually, I need to look because I can't think of anybody off the top of my head.
Yeah, and I was like that. I'm a big rap fan as he's looking up as well. I was pre-Christian and after. And I remember the day when I realized I couldn't listen to some of the rap that I did listen to. Not all of it, some of it, because the images it puts in your head, even though you don't necessarily know what you're thinking. Like, sometimes when you listen to rap music, you're not thinking about what you say, but the images of, women in a derogatory way, it puts stuff in your head, man. And it does affect you. Music can affect you. It's like anything else, what you watch too. But I think you brought up a good point about personal convictions, and it can be a stumbling block for some and not for others. But some music, I mean, it's easy to see how vile it is.
Oh,
and
yeah.
as he's looking up metal, it's great. It's a great time to be a Christian rap fan. There's a ton of good ones, KB, Trip Lee, everybody knows Lecrae, Andy Mineo. There's a guy named 1K Few, Phew, Red Tips. There's a lot of people out there that do some good stuff right now. What is his name? No big deal. Another guy who's awesome. One of my favorites right now. Just a lot of stuff. A lot of people.
Oh yeah, man. And as far as metal, I got a list here now. For today, Memphis Mayfire, Oh Sleeper, Impending Doom. Those guys are sick. Fit for a King, Mouth of the South, Convictions, Reformers, Relent, Death Therapy.
Names of the people? These are the names of the bands?
Yeah.
These are ones on your list?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool.
This is on my Christian Headbang playlist.
Yeah.
Let's see here. There's Diamonds, Corpus Christi. Love those guys. For all eternity, earth groans, your memorial. That's just a few.
So there you go. We gave you a lot. Check them out. Yeah, awesome stuff. Great question, by the way.
Oh, absolutely.
Moving on.
It put me at 3, correct? I believe so.
Yeah.
Okay. It says, I was reading my Bible and caught in the story of the prodigal son that it says in Luke 15:12 in ESV that the father divided between them. I had always thought that it was just the younger son got it. I also caught that it never said, at least in my version, where when the older son was talking to the dad, the older son never said he didn't spend his inheritance on anything. He actually was just pointing out that their father didn't give him. What their father didn't give him. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good. So the verse they were referencing is he says, the prodigal son, and the younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the share of property that's coming to me, and he divided his property between them. So you said, that's a good catch, but he said, also caught that it never said, at least in my version, when the older son was talking to the dad, the older son never didn't spend his inheritance. Well, we know he didn't. And here's why we know. The prodigal son is said he sold his possessions, meaning he sold off the land and went and spent it. When the prodigal son comes back, we find that the elder son is still there working with his dad.
Yeah.
So he did not sell his property. He kept it with his father and worked it. Otherwise, it wouldn't have said that he was still there. And
Right.
remember, and he said, I'm working with you. And because he said, I've stayed here and done everything, and you're celebrating my...
That's right. He was jealous.
Correct. So,
Yep.
and I think the older son gets a bad rap. He was just sharing his hurt. But... yeah, so it's a great catch about the divine inheritance, but we know based on the times back then that he just essentially, like his father said, yeah, it's yours if you want it, but he didn't sell. He kept it there with his father and continued to work because you didn't do that while your father still lived or could still manage his property. So the older son specifically, or the younger son had told us he sold his property and went and wasted his inheritance. He comes back, we find the older son is still there, which means the land was not sold. He didn't do anything with it. He was waiting for the right time, the proper time. So great catch in the first part, but the story doesn't change because we know, you said it doesn't say he didn't spend it, but we know he didn't spend it based on the time and the fact that he's still there with his father.
Right.
Makes sense?
What a cool story of grace,
Great
man.
story. It really is.
I love it.
Good, cool that you're reading and catching those things. Little things like that. All right, you ready?
Yep.
AJ, have you guys ever seen Lee Strobel's Case for Christ? I watched that movie and thought, how cool. Do you think the things we watch can easily influence our lives?
So I personally have I know it's a book too, and I also know that they came out with like a movie. I actually haven't seen or read it, but I've heard great things about it. As far as things that we can watch, can it influence our lives? Absolutely. It's very much similar to the previous question about music. I think that it's based on, like on your convictions. If you're watching something and it's making you, say it's making you question your faith, or it's distracting you from God, and you're putting it, because you can put anything above God, And so if that's happening, you have to listen to the Holy Spirit, and you have to be willing to be open to the fact that you may need to stop watching this thing. So yeah, I definitely think it can influence your life, 100%.
Yeah, I've actually read the book. I read the book after I got saved, and a period of time I always tell people I wasn't going to church, but I was devouring everything, and it really was instrumental in my life because it taught me that science backs God, because you're always taught in school it doesn't.
Right.
I would encourage everyone to read that book, The Case for Christ. It's a great book. I know the movie is loosely based on it and the idea of it, like the thought of it, but the book itself really gives the evidence that he found. Lee Strobel was a journalist. I think he's a world award-winning journalist for one of the big Chicago newspapers, and he actually set out to write a story essentially disproving the existence of Christ. And that it was real, and ended up converting based on the facts he found, and became
so cool.
So really cool stuff. A powerful book. He's also written other books, The Case for the Creator, which I own as well. But Case for Christ is really, really impactful stuff. I still remember some of the facts that I learned in there. So good
That's
stuff.
awesome, man. I think we actually have it in that shelf right over there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I think you're up, my friend.
Oh yeah, my bad. Okay, let's see. Can you explain how the snake and Satan are the same? Are they even the same? I was told they were, but I thought Satan got kicked out of heaven. But it says the snake was walking around on earth.
Well, the earth is not heaven. So you said he was kicked out of heaven.
Right.
He's fallen to the earth, so that's where he was. So we know that part, those go together completely. It makes perfect sense. We do know that mainly from countless verses that describe Satan as a serpent. From Revelation 20:12, he sees the dragon, that ancient serpent, who's the devil or Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years. Revelation 12:9 says the great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. He was hurled to the earth, and his angels with him. So that's what you're referencing. We know that the snake walked on four legs like other snakes at the time. So, other reptiles that do today. So either Satan had possessed the serpent,
Yep.
or had made them believe that it was the serpent talking in some way. But whatever capacity, it was a disguise to lure them into listening to the lies that he was spewing. So yes, based on the entire context of the Bible, and just those verses, even I shared in Revelation, that the serpent was Satan. Speaking through that serpent, or either possessing him literally, or just making it, seem as though he was the serpent. Either way, and we know he has power. We've seen that. Yeah. So that's the answer to that.
That's good, man. I think that's well said.
Great question, though. I love those kinds of questions where people are really thinking it through.
Oh, for sure, dude.
Thank you for asking that. You're up, my friend. Oh, I'm up. I meant you're up to answer. This is some statements here with a question at the end. Satan's probably smiling right now. His great idol of worshiping the smartphone. Great time waster, exclamation point. Also, busy distractions. Dwell on your past and worry about the future. Why not live now, in the moment? Do you pray every day? Do you read God's word every day? Do you worship God every day? If not, why? All caps.
Man, tell you what, whoever this is coming at us with some truth right now. Tell you what, I am a smartphone fiend. I would say, I definitely spend a lot of time on my smartphone.
Yeah.
What did you say?
Ironic word choice.
Yeah. Great time waster. Absolutely it is. Dwelling on my past, worrying about my future. You're hitting it spot on how my mind works a lot of the time. So why not live now in the moment, man? That's such a good, you're right. All these are right. And when it comes to, do you pray every day? I don't do it how I should, if I'm honest. I don't,
And the answer he asked is why? He, she, just assumed, I guess.
I think what you said above those statements is a big reason why, wasting time. I think I'm distracted a lot. Or I'm doubting God's power, or I'm doubting, I'm doubting myself. Yeah. There's just a lot of, there's a lot of ways I don't. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah.
But very convicting.
Well, everything he says is the truth here.
Yeah.
I certainly agree about a lot of it, and for me, dwelling on your past is a big one for me. Sometimes it's hard for me to give myself the grace that I know God gives me.
Oof, that's good, man.
So, yeah, it's good stuff. And you're absolutely right. We're told to do all those things, right? The disciplines, and we're told that for a reason. As Christians, we need it just like we need the air we breathe and the food we eat. And when we don't do that, when we don't eat, quote, right, breathe, quote, we're going to be unhealthy. And and ironically, it becomes kind of a cycle, because then it's easier to worry, right? It's easier to dwell on negative things. It's easier to be distracted. So it's good stuff. Alrighty.
It's serious. It says,
Thank you for sharing that.
Oh yeah, thank you so much. Ooh, I got a hiccup. Sorry, guys. When it says in Genesis 4:26 that people started worshiping the Lord, what does that mean? Like building temples and offering sacrifices? I thought Adam and Eve already worshipped God.
So this chapter starts with actually what happened to Cain after he was cast out. He went and built kind of the first city. Starts telling us about his descendants, and then what it tells us here at the end in verse 25 actually says, Adam knew his wife intimately again, and she gave birth to a son and named him Seth, for she said, God has given me another child in place of Abel, since Cain killed him. A son was born to Seth also, and he named him Enosh. At that time, people began to call on the name of the Lord. So calling the name of the Lord can also mean to worship, to proclaim, or invoke the name of, to call him. So essentially all it was saying was, through their line, people were still worshiping God, began to worship God and recognize him.
Which is cool.
Yeah, and it's saying it in sort of in comparison to the line of Cain. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So there's your question. And Yeah, he did. Adam and Eve worshiped God. They walked with God, but they're saying now it was spreading to all people, right? That people began to recognize who God was beyond just Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
So, good question.
Oh, yeah. We're scoot boogieing along here.
Blah-blah-doo. Remnant dudes. Why? Remnant dudes guy. Still here with us.
Hey.
Remnant dudes, who have you encouraged this week?
Let's see. I feel like I did encourage somebody this week. Who was it? I think it was Trent. I encouraged
Mad Max?
Oh yeah, Mad Max. Yeah, I think I encouraged Mad Max this week. Told him I was proud of him because I know that he's been on a journey, man, just like all of us. And the dude, he has like just such. When he takes a step, man, he dives. So, shout out to you, Mad Max. That's who I've encouraged this week.
Nice. Have I encouraged people this week? I think so. Yeah, I think I've encouraged people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've encouraged people.
Yeah, I get it.
I don't know if I'm supposed to,
do an example.
But
I wasn't sure either.
What I love about this question, though, for real, is that it is a good reminder that we are to be encouragers.
Yes.
And to look for those opportunities. And the cool thing about encouraging other people, it's a real tangible way to love people, man, and to keep us from being self-focused. You know what I mean? And it's like that old thing, man. If we all love each other the way God tells us to, right, then everybody's getting loved. If I'm loving you and you're worried about loving me, I'm loved. We're all loving and encouraging each other.
Dude.
So
I love
and
that.
Scripture even says that, and encouraging each other all the more as the day draws near. That we're going to need encouragement from each other to make it. So the Bible says that. Good stuff. All right, AJ.
Yes.
You prepared?
I am prepared to ask you the question.
I forgot again. That is your turn.
It says Fourth Corinthians. Man, dude, I cannot.
4 Corinthians.
4th Corinthians. 1 Corinthians 14, 27 and 28. This is an ESV. It says, if any speak in a tongue, let there be only 2 or at most 3, and each in turn, and let someone interpret. But if there is no one to interpret, let each of them keep silent in church and speak to himself and to God. And it says, does this mean that speaking in tongues is a gift and not just a way of worship?
I like this question.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm looking up.
Oh, no, you're okay, man.
Here.
I think in short, when it says, when they're asking about it being a gift, I mean, if I remember correctly, like the gift of tongues is listed in the list of gifts. Like,
well, certainly, yes.
Yeah. Unless they're saying maybe it's the gift is that it's in a way of worship, and they're saying maybe it's more than that sort of thing.
Yeah, I was trying to find. You essentially give the whole section. So, yeah, speaking in tongues is a gift.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, I don't think it's a heavenly language. I don't think the Scripture interpretation. In fact, when it says the tongues of angels, it's only mentioned in 1 Corinthians 13 when it says, if I speak in the tongues of angels and blah, blah, blah without love, it would be worthless, right?
Yeah.
It isn't. That isn't mentioned in the spot as tongues the gift, right? And so when it talks about tongues, the tongues of men says that in certain sections. So what I personally believe is that the gift of tongues that was given was the ability to speak languages that people did not understand, right? That they didn't personally know. So it's in order to preach to people, right? So there does seem to be, we're told in 1 Corinthians 2 that if someone does speak in tongues, there needs to be an interpreter, right? Otherwise, it's meaning somebody should be able to understand them in the church. And if they can't, then it's not legitimate, or at least it shouldn't be said publicly.
Right.
So I don't believe personally that the idea of tongues being sort of a worship language is biblically supported. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
But yes, it is a gift. One of the spiritual gifts. It's listed in the spiritual gifts.
Yes. Okay. And then that leads us to...
I think I have to ask you, or no, you have to ask them, because you guys said you answered that one, right?
Oh, yeah, we did.
The one I have?
Yep. So I got one more for you, TB.
Okay.
It says, this is 1 Corinthians 5:5. It says, you were to hand over this man to Satan for the destruction of his body so that his spirit may be saved in the day of the Lord Jesus. And the question here is, what does this mean? Hand unrepentant sinners over to Satan and he will kill them?
We actually answered this question a few weeks ago. Do you remember that?
I do remember.
Because it was a really creepy section. So we'll start with, you need to know the situation. Here's the situation Paul's talking about at the beginning of, he's writing to the church in Corinth, right? Corinth was a bustling sort of trade city, so there's a lot of different cultures and certainly religions, including there's goddess of sex and love, and there was temple prostitutes. I mean, it was just imagine being saved in that kind of culture. It's very indicative today, and he's trying to say you can't let that outside culture. I know it's a big shift and permeate or infect the church.
Yes,
right? And he's trying to teach them how Christians should be, especially compared to the world that they were in. So it says in chapter 5, it's widely reported that there is a sexual immorality among you, and the kind of sexual immorality that is not even condoned among the Gentiles, meaning the non-believers. A man is living with his father's wife. That means he's sleeping with his father's wife. And you're inflated with pride instead of filled with grief, so that he who has committed this act might be removed from among you. For though absent in body but present in spirit, I've already decided about him who has done this thing as though I were present. In the name of our Lord Jesus, when you are assembled, along with my spirit and with the power of our Lord Jesus, turn that one over to Satan for the destruction of the flesh, so that his spirit may be saved in the day of the Lord. And then he goes on to say, your boasting is not good. Don't you know that a little yeast permeates the whole? So even a little bit of this evil can affect the whole church. He wrote down again, I wrote to you in a letter not to associate blah, 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 sexual more people. So that's a creepy verse, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Turn him over. So essentially what that means is to cast him out from the fellowship.
Yep.
And hand him over to Satan, meaning, outside the walls of the church, that if he wants to live in Satan's kingdom, then he needs to live in it and deal with the consequences of that. Does that make sense? It doesn't necessarily. Now, God, there was when we talked about killing, it was actually in the case of Ananias and Sapphira. Remember that, where they died for lying, which was weird. In this case, it's really symbolic to, okay, you don't want to be with the Lord's people, then you'll be outside the protection of that, and you'll be at the mercy of his kingdom, the enemies. What's neat is, and how we know he didn't die, is in 2 Corinthians, we are told, and I'm going to we are told what happens to this guy. So, I believe, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So it says here, if anyone has caused pain, he has not caused pain to me in some degree, not to exact all. The punishment by the majority is sufficient for such a person. So now you should forgive and comfort him instead. Whew. Otherwise, this one may be overwhelmed by excessive grief. Therefore, I urge you to confirm your love to him. It was for this purpose I wrote, so I may know your proven character if you're obedient in everything. Now, to whom you forgive in anything, I do too. So, through all of this man repented, is the implication here, and now he's saying, hey, you can accept him back now.
That's beautiful.
So, and that's true, right? A lot of times when we go and we live in the world, and we have to, we hear the stories all the time, people walking away, quote, from God, and living like an unbeliever, and then the heartache and hurt it causes. And sometimes people have to come to the end of their rope, hit rock bottom, right, before they will really open up. So really, it was all about, trying to find. So, and it says, hand to Satan for the destruction of his body, so his spirit may be saved. Like, hey, it better for him to suffer a little bit and to turn back to God, right? Than
absolutely.
Live that way. Because at the point, was he really saved before that? If he was doing that, we don't know. But whatever it was out there, certainly, if he was, he had learned his lesson, and if he hadn't, he had come to know.
That's so good, man.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
You think that answers the question?
That's so good.
So I do think it means we hand over unrepentant sinners, unrepentant sinners that are believers. They can't be a part of our community. And that's a hurtful thing, and it should never happen. You look at Matthew 18, it takes a long time to get to that point.
Oh, yeah.
It takes someone who's truly unrepentant.
Man, dude.
So
great job explaining that. Really well done, dude.
I hope so. I hope it makes sense to you guys.
100%.
Great questions today.
Yeah, man.
How long have we been going here?
An hour 21.
Oh, a couple more. There's some statements here, too.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You can go ahead and give them.
Sure.
Especially since this one relates to last week, I believe.
Yes, it does. It says, so we got statement 1 here. It says, while listening to the discussion of the Blueberry heist, and you mentioned the possibility of an outside culprit, had me thinking who that criminal could be. Without giving her actual name, my money would have to be on Jocelyn. That's something she would do.
Do you know who that is?
No.
I started thinking about this. Now, I only know one person whose name starts with a J-O.
Mm-hmm.
That's a female at our church. You still don't know, do you?
I do.
But but if it was her, I don't understand why that would be something she would do.
Right.
Other than, so. Is it her? Is it Jocelyn? Are we even correct in who you mean is Jocelyn? I don't know.
Well, there's literally someone named Jocelyn. We're so sorry.
Michael Jocelyn. Get it?
I get it.
No, you don't.
I think I get it.
Who's the greatest basketball player of all time?
Oh, Michael Jocelyn.
I don't know. All right, what's next?
It says we got a this is ridiculous. What was Boaz before he was married? Ruthless.
Well done.
And then we got one more. It says, Did you know the disciples actually traveled together by car? Yeah, they all came in one accord.
Good stuff, man.
So ridiculous.
Keep bringing. I laughed too when I saw that. Fun turn. Did you see how long we've been going?
Yeah, 123.
Ooh, pretty long. We better get out of
pretty
here.
long one.
Well, hey, you should have known, man. I'm a rambler. I'm a rambling man.
I love it, man. First time back, we're going long because you guys deserve a good episode.
And honestly, they just asked a bunch of good questions.
It's true.
What do you got, my friend?
Hey, thank you guys so much for watching this episode today. Love you guys so much. If you guys are watching this from any of our social media platforms, please like it, share it with a blurb of why you're watching it so people will more likely watch it. And other than that, I just love you so much. You guys are amazing.
Fun turn?
Please, on any podcasting platform that you see us, I want you to leave a 5-star review. And if it has the option to write something down there, write a little blurb. And you don't have to get deep with your feelings if you don't want to. Write us just put down your favorite book, your favorite type of sandwich, your favorite mug, and favorite saying that goes on a mug, your favorite color. It doesn't have to be that deep. I mean, but if you want to, we appreciate those as well. But if you want to just be simple and you don't want to go into your feels, you can just put nearly anything down there with the 5-star review. We accept it.
Yeah.
It really helps us on the business end of things. And like I always say, if you don't have nothing nice to say, keep it to yourself, like your mama said. And just walking down the road, we're glad you came in to see what we were all about, but you didn't like us, so we ask you to keep on moving and not try to blow everything up on the way out. I think that's a natural and nice thing to ask for. So, have a great day. Goodbye.
All right.
But otherwise, yeah.
I can't say much more to that. Love you guys. Appreciate you. Like, share, for real. Hey, I know you're like probably not even listening anymore because it's the end of the episode, but I'm going to say something crazy. Hey, treasure. I'm just trying to stick around to the end and you get a special treat. Anyway, please like, share, comment. We do interact with those, and we're recommitted to interacting with those comments. So do it. I'm going to make sure we do. Love you guys. Please support us. Consider that. Hey, stay tuned. You should be getting an announcement soon about Real Talk Live because we really are going to.
That's right.
This week we're going to give the time this week. So we're holding ourselves to that.
That's right.
Hey, if you enjoyed the show beyond just that, and you're interested in sort of the message and whether you're even in the state, you can go to the Remnant Church of Whitley County, type that in your Facebook or your Instagram, and if you go to Facebook, it'll lead anywhere, or www.theremnant.life. But if you go to that Facebook and give us a like and a follow and all those things, you'll get, we try to put out encouraging things all the time.
That's
Our
right.
church that supports this. So we love you guys. We appreciate you. I'm so excited for being back, to be back. Forgive me for the grumpiness for the months past. I'm really committed to being me and not being so grumpy. So thank you guys for sticking around. I love you so much. You really are, our pod squad.
Pod squad.
Our fam. I couldn't think of anything around with that.
Fam. Bam.
So, hey, God loves you. You're never too far gone. He's waiting for you to come home. Have a great day. God bless you.